Who are those other guests? Because there's some heavy duty people on there.
Yes. So I was fortunate enough to have on the record to have a good friend and a great guitarist, great artist, JOE BONAMASSA, stepped in and played the smoking solo on Devil's Toy, a tune that I had in mind, something different than what I would do originally. And we have this guitar dialogue into the song. So Joe was wonderful. I loved what he did on the record.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Jeffers, Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and welcome to another episode of Around Town. I am excited today. Guy King is on the show today, and Guy, a good friend of Chicago Jazz, good friend of mine. He actually came down to the hot dog stand back in the day when we had the show. And the other exciting thing is he's got a new recording out. He's got an online masterclass we're going to talk about, but he's actually playing at Andy's Jazz Club January 20th and 21st and the 25th. And he has not been back at Andy's for at least since before the pandemic. And that's the first time I ever saw him perform was at Andy's years and years and years ago. So Guy, hope all is well. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you virtually, if nothing else. And congratulations on all the stuff you have happening.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's great to see you. It's been a long time. Great to hear you. I'm glad to be here. And I remember the hot dog stand too.
Most people can't forget the hot dog stand. If
exactly.
They were at the hot dog stand. All right, so let's talk right off the bat. All right, so you're coming into Andy's January 20th and 21st.
Yes.
It was a Friday, Saturday. And then you're also going to start doing one Wednesday a month, and it just happens to be right after this weekend, so the 25th. So it's the 20th, 21st, and the 25th at Andy's, and you're playing the early set, I call it early, from 6 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and then the Wednesday set is 7 to 10:30. But how cool is that? You're coming back into Andy's. You got your new group that I know you've been touring and playing with for a couple of years now. But talk a little bit about coming back to Andy's and the band and who's in the band and all that good stuff.
Of course, yeah. So Andy's used to be my home court, as you know, as everybody knows. We used to hold court there for 4 years. And then I started touring more, and I left for a while and lived in Brazil and was in Israel and kind of traveled more than played locally. So it wasn't working out. But then the pandemic happened and everything got changed. And, so now Chris from Andy's called and asked me if I would come back. And I had a little pause of not touring as much. And when I'm touring, it's not for long periods of time at a time. It's more like hits, like a week, half a week, so even 2 weeks, which will allow me to do a few more Chicago appearances, which I haven't done in a while. So I said, sure. So we circled this weekend of the 21st, and then they asked me if I'm around, if I'm able to do like a monthly appearance that will be on a Wednesday, on the 4th Wednesday of the month, which happened to fall close for that weekend. So we'll be there on January 25th as well, but we will be there on the weekend. I'm there on the 20th and the 21st of January. And my touring band and the band from the latest recording from Joe is Coming is gonna be with me of Tom Vaitsas on keys and Joshua Ramos on bass and Samuel Jewell on drums. Saturday night I have a very close friend and a great bass player as well. Will be with me, Rodrigo Mantovani. And that Wednesday, the 25th, there's another good friend and a great keyboard player. Brother John actually is going to be on that Wednesday. So it's all in the family, but I'm glad to have, for the most part, it'll be the regular touring band of Tom, Josh, and Samuel.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. I mean, the people that have not been to Andy's, I know most people that are watching this probably have been to Andy's, but there's a lot of new people now in the show. And the new format of Andy's, I think, is set up really well because they do, especially on Friday, Saturday, they do the 6 to 9:30, and it's really a listening situation these days over at Andy's as opposed to maybe 10 years ago. But they really make people listen. So when you're there, and it's good to get a reservation too, andysjazzclub.com. But people are listening, and in that space, the way they reconfigured it a little bit, it's a real intimate room these days. So it really, the acoustics and stuff are really nice in there.
Yeah, I actually did one weekend there. You said before right at the pandemic was softening, we should say. Came to do a weekend there, and I was like, I was skeptical because I remembered always doing the headliner set the later on, and then I realized that the headliner set started being an earlier set.
Yeah.
And I was like skeptical between us. I'm like, I'm coming at 6. That feels strange. I'm not used to, you know. But then I saw that it was full. So everybody, it was all reserved out the whole weekend we did, which I hope it'll be the same way this way. And I was like, wow, this is nice. Like it really was I mean, every time we came with the band, I have to admit it was more of a show. So it didn't really matter because but this way I was surprised that it could be that much of a show earlier in the evening. So we are excited to come back. The band is excited. I'm excited to come and play at Andy's, and I hope you get your reservations now and lock it in before we come in to play for you.
Yeah, and they've been filling up really well. So that's 11 East Hubbard Street right there in Chicago, andysjazzclub.com. And as I always like to say, you can park next door to Shaw's. It's like $15, super easy. You just do it. You can valet and come right back over to Andy's. Yeah. So I'm making sure nobody has any excuses.
There we go.
To make it. See, I was
you don't have any excuses. There you go. January 20th and 21st, Friday and Saturday, be there.
That's it. That's it. All right. So Joy is coming. Your new release. I know it came out last year, but really, this is going to be almost the first full year that you can get out there and perform and tour with this recording. Talk about this recording, because I know the time you spent on it and the tunes that are on there are very meaningful. Yeah. And you've got some special guests on there as well. So talk a little bit.
Yeah. It's to me, it's my favorite record to date. I like what I recorded before, but it's definitely my favorite ones. Material selection, songs, as well as sonically. I really love what had happened, and hopefully I can keep saying that on every record that I say. That the newest one is the best one. But it means a lot to me. I wrote the whole record, so I'm not playing standards or covers there. I either co-wrote or wrote every song on the record, and the band is my touring band, plus horns of Marques Carroll and Anthony Bruno. When I do play with horns these days, this is who comes on the horn section.
In addition to your horn section, in addition to your regular band that we just talked about, who are those other guests? Because there's some heavy duty people on there.
Yes. So I was fortunate enough to have on the record to have a good friend and a great guitarist, great artist, JOE BONAMASSA, stepped in and played the smoking solo on Devil's Toy, a tune that I had in mind, something different than what I would do originally. And we have this guitar dialogue into the song. So Joe was wonderful. I loved what he did on the record. And also a great singer, Vanessa Armstrong, a great gospel singer. Well, we did a couple of shows in Texas a few years ago, and we ran into each other and we did a set together, a gospel brunch set. And I loved the way she sang, and she agreed to do a duet on the record on Up, Up, Up. So both JOE BONAMASSA and Vanessa Armstrong is on the record, which you can hear live. And the background vocals of my beautiful wife, Sam Marie Young, and others, and Tina and Devin. And it's a lot on there. But I also wanted to thank, regarding the record, a great slinger, musician, and guitar player, brother Josh Smith, and Alan Hertz, great drummer, who they both set up the album sonically as we mixed it in LA with them. So has a lot to do with the way the album sounded, the way we're able to get the playing part with what you hear in the final result.
Yeah. All right. So it's Joy is coming. Of course, it's guyking.net. And I know that you still got like an after holiday sale happening on there, I noticed. So you got discounted pricing on there.
Yeah, it's like so it's guyking.net. The whole store, actually, we left the sale from the holiday Christmas fair. I left it on through January, and it's 20% off of everything, including the vinyl, including the new record, but also all the shirts and stuff. So if you want to get some from mine, either my catalog digitally or physically, get it, because that's the time. Everything is discounted 20%. No code needed. It's already discounted. You can see it on the site.
You know what I've always, you and I have had long conversations off camera about entrepreneurship and about business and everything else. When I went on your store and I saw the T-shirts and everything else, I was like, look at this, man. This is set up properly. This is like a store, because when people come on and they want to buy something, they think, okay, I'm going to come on and get that album, but then they can actually buy back catalog stuff of yours too,
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have at the gig probably, because you're not walking around with hundreds of copies of things, all these different, because you have so many recordings, but you can get all that stuff right there. And it's a great way for people. And I've always said this about you too, is that you're that person that crosses between jazz and blues so seamlessly, but now you've created your own sound, and it's the Guy King sound, which combines both things. So really it's great for the blues fan, it's great for the jazz fan, it's great for the casual music fan, because it's all encompassing in this new recording, because I took a listen to it. I mean, it just sounds great.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I that's, I think also this new material is like I think I went back to how I started by forgetting everything I knew and just liking music for what it was, So I tend to use the jazz as a vocabulary, and the blues are the same way. And now I would just like to make the songs that I want to make, regardless. Some stuff on the new album, I think I got closer to rhythm and blues, which I always had, if even my first records, but even closer to classic rock and rhythm blues or pop of the era, which is what I started up listening to before I played the guitar, before I got into music professionally. And it seems to be music that moves me more. But since I already opened up to the concept of harmony and melody of the blues, of the jazz, and other types of music that I heard around the world, I want to combine it, but I never wanted to just play that type of music. It never moved me. As much as it moved me to hear Albert King or Wes Montgomery or Ray Charles, I noticed that as much as I was playing more and more, the less it moved me to do their own thing. And the more I started hearing a different sound, a different song in my head. So with this album, I think I finally threw it all in the pot and like, oh, so this is what it's going to sound like more than in the past. I think I did it in my first record some, but in the latest one, Enjoy Is Coming, you can hear it more. And I'm definitely bringing it out live a lot more. So using my influences just as a vocabulary to speak my language instead of playing it the way, the way others did it before me. So.
Well, and you and I have talked about it in the past, but I really think that in 2023 and the 21st century in general, but 2023, I mean, back in the 50s, you could say, okay, that's jazz, that's blues, that's rhythm and blues. But nowadays, all of us have grown up listening to so many styles of music that really, especially with the way the radio stations are and everything else these days, it's more along the lines of like, it's not blues, jazz, it's like Guy King. I'm going to hear Guy King tonight. I mean, I'm not going to hear a jazz artist or a blues artist. I'm going to hear Guy King tonight. That's
because you're right. And that's how I wanted it to be. It seems to be a little squeaking from maybe some, but you don't play this anymore. And I'm like, I may pull it up. I may pull up not a cover tune, a standard if I feel it. If I have a request for it, I always try to, I always respect my audience that if there's a request that hits us right, I would love to do it. But there's a sound now. I have a sound, and I think personally it's better than the things I did before, because it brings them with me, but to a place that's more genuine, that's more real, it's more true, and it's better. I'm better now than I was 10 years ago. I could say about myself, vocally, skill-wise on my instrument. We all are. The whole band is. So there's no need in staying there just to appeal to something that, I rather play the best that I can, the best music to me. And I think at least then I could sleep in peace and be happy about giving everything I have the best way to my fans.
Yeah. Well, and the beauty of it is that you have such a large back end repertoire that you've played, all the different styles, everything, that people you just never know what you're going to hear when you come in here, Guy King play. I mean, that's why I love going to see certain artists play, because it's like, I don't know what they're going to play. I have no idea. I don't want to hear them play an album down from top to bottom and have it sound exactly the same. If I'm seeing them live, why do I want to go do that? So it's always fun to me. And that's where I think the genre thing is out the window these days. It's more of the artist. And that's where it should have always been to begin.
Look, man, I think it should be like this. I started playing guitar because I liked Eric Clapton. He was never he was Eric Clapton. I love Stevie Wonder. I listened to him since I was a kid. He was Stevie Wonder. It didn't matter if he played more R&B or he played more pop. It doesn't matter. That's my point. It never mattered, but you know, when you start out, you get into cliques. Cities have a certain, there's jazz clubs, there are blues clubs.
Yep.
Then I kind of put it together and played in both. And then I realized, but what about the other stuff that I kind of neglected, a part of me that I want to play, that I want to sing. So with the new recording, what we do now, I like to see it as just, this is Guy King, and there's some for everybody, I think, you know, that comes to hear the music. And I'm proud because the band is great and the music is great. So we're giving our best music to the people, you know.
Yeah. Well, and this leads perfectly. So that's Joy is Coming, GuyKing.net. That's where everything is.
Yes,
Obviously,
everything
Andy's
is.
Jazz Club, January 20th and 21st. And then, of course, again on the 25th. And that's going to be one Wednesday a month.
Yes, the fourth
AndysJazzClub.com.
Wednesday every month will be there as well throughout 2000.
Fourth Wednesday. But this leads perfectly into this very cool thing that you're doing with True Fire, right? True Fire.
Fire, yeah.
It's the guitar masterclass. So we're talking about how you play. We're talking about all the different styles you have and everything else, and everything that goes into your concepts. And you're actually sharing that with people virtually on this masterclass.
Yeah, I was happy and surprised to get this this phone call one day, email from True Fire, because I kept seeing their advertisements sometimes pop on social media and stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm not your typical guitar player, so I learned mostly by ear. So I actually never used these type of videos. They didn't exist back then.
No.
On YouTube of you know, explanatory of master classes. But I used to see them. I used to see some of my my friends, you know, and all of a sudden they reached out to me to do it, and I said, you know what, that could be nice, you know, because during the pandemic I started teaching a little more. I got calls to do some online classes. I started it right before the pandemic started, which came in handy during the pandemic, because all of a sudden somebody that saw me playing France reached out to do a master class, and I was able to do that from home, from the studio, while I was home, and I still do it. So when True Fire reached out, I said, you know what, I understand, let's do it. And they flew me out to St. Pete in Florida, and they have a great setup, great people, man, really great, so professional. Everything was like on the money, on the time, everything was taken care of. I love working like that. I told Sarah, my wife, I'm like, wow, this is different, you know. It's right on the money. Everything we talked happened at the same time, and if it didn't, it was better than described. So we had a great time together putting out this masterclass, and they released it. It's online. It's also on my website. There's a direct link from my site to send you to them. So use this link. It'd be better for me and for you, actually, for pricing too, if you want it. And I talked about my concept of music, of guitar playing, of chord melody when it comes to any type of music. A couple of the chapters are on the blues and finger picking and older type of blues, rhythm and blues of later. I take a few songs from my catalog and play them and explain my concept, how I play them, how I approach them. So it's about music in general. It's also about particularly to the guitar, vibrato, bends, right hand, left hand, pressure relief, all types of things that it's really about music. I didn't stay true to the blues. I didn't just play jazz. I talked about my concept, and there's some songs from Joy is Coming that I'm sharing and explaining how I play them. So it turned out really, really nice.
Well, and I love how you explain at the beginning of it too, because I watched that intro video that you have on your website, and you basically talk about finding your voice, essentially.
Yes.
And talk about all the concepts and everything that you went through in order to find your voice. And I think that just helps people. It's better than just sitting there going, here's an arpeggio, here's this, here's that, there you go. Who wants to hear? I want to hear the background of the artist that I'm learning from, because then once I trust the background of the artist, now I can do what he's telling me to do, because I understand what he really wants me to do.
Right. We call it, I think, the art and heart of guitar. We stayed away. At first they said, should we use blues? But no, should we use jazz? I'm like, you know what, let's just put it around the music, because I think it'll be smarter. And it talks about the guitar, because it's a guitar course for guitarists, but it talks about music really, and how to play from your heart, how to be able to execute your feelings and your thoughts to your instrument, you know? So while there are technical stuff that will help you, like with the very specific things, it's a broader concept that can help you in the long run, and you can revisit it, you know, and get more of it next time you come to it as well.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. Of course, GuyKing.net has everything. So we're going to send them over to GuyKing.net for the recording. Joy is coming for the guitar masterclass. And of course, head to Andy's Jazz Club, January 20th and 21st. And then, of course, the fourth Wednesday of each month, andysjazzclub.com. Reservations recommended. Guy, great to see you virtually, even though it's virtual. And
yes.
I'm going to try to get out to Andy's one night. And
come, man, I'd love to see you there, man. It'll be a joy to have you.
Well, it'll be fun to actually see you in person, but hearing you back at Andy's is going to be a lot of fun. So congratulations, man. I'm glad the family's doing well. And yes. Thanks for jumping on today.
Thanks for having me. You know what? We talked about Joe before I come out.
Yeah. I
forgot to mention a few special people that helped us through. Was a good friend and a great guitarist, JOE Bonamassa, is on the record too. And yeah. I got to mention, it's my bad, brother, but Joe has been a great friend and a supporter, and I loved what he brought to a track here to Devil's Tour. And also Vanessa Armstrong, the great singer, the gospel singer. We did a show in Texas a few years ago when I was traveling with my band, and we met there, and I heard her sing, and I fell out. So she graced us with a duet on the record. So they're here, and I wanted to thank them, as well as Brother Josh Smith, a great guitarist, and Alan Hurst, that we mixed it together and got the whole sonic concept there together, and how the album will sound in Los Angeles. So thank you again.
Oh, absolutely. Well, everybody's got to go check this recording out. Go to GuyKing.net because it's sitting right there. You can hear little samples, but I would pick the whole thing up.
Thank you, Mike.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. And also, I want to tell everybody thanks for watching. As usual, all the information's on chicagojazz.com. And until next time, hopefully I will see somebody out on the scene.